want to come back.
Exactly.
Have you created this into an annual process?
Actually, what we're doing now, we've completed the assessments on all of the management team, and then we took it a little step further. We asked for an aggregate report from Caliper so that we have the individual results for the management team so they can be active learners and develop based on the coaching and recommendation from Caliper. But in addition, I worked with your team to get an aggregate report together, which gave me an overall profile without disclosing individual results, but the overall profile of the management group. One result in particular is that our management team on a whole was not strong in coaching. So as a result, we are able to work with you to bring in some additional training on coaching for the management team. And I strongly recommend that if a company does do the 360s for the management team to get the additional aggregate report, because it's very helpful to see the common themes without disclosing the individual.
And the aggregate report, Cindy, as you're describing it, is really, it would be taking these key individuals, these leaders in your company, and sort of blending it so that they end up with a group's personality profile. Tell me, as you looked at the entire group, share with us, if you will, the strengths that the group had and where those strengths are able to take you.
One of the strengths that was highlighted was that we as a group work really well within the established rules and regulations, and we're very strong at maintaining existing relationships. And when we met with your team to discuss what that meant, how that translated, was that we're very good at taking the direction from our president, Lex Vanderweerd, and managing that plan within our individual groups.
Well, that's really interesting, because what you're describing is certainly a leadership team that is very good at problem solving and heading straight for a goal, but also has some flexibility in terms of hearing new messages and being very open to them.
We're lucky in that way, and then part of that, I think, we would attribute to the initial calipers that we do, and because we look for those types of characteristics in our leaders.
Share with us, if you would, please, Cindy, some advice you might have for a company that is thinking about doing this, because it is a cultural shift, isn't it?
It is, and it's tough because you have to make sure that the people who are going through it are open to feedback. That's step one, because if they go through this and they don't see within themselves that things can be improved, then you've wasted your time and theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure that the folks are open to that. And a good way to do that is to communicate, why you're doing that and what your intended goals are for the group, and also that it's completely confidential. So we're not going to be, as a company, judging individuals or doing any kind of performance reviews based on a Caliper 360. It's just for them to improve their skill set.
Well, that's a very, very important message, because what you're talking about really gets down to trust, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm, it does.
Was there anybody that was particularly tough for?
Well, there was one individual, actually, who had a real difficult time simply because he didn't see that he had any room for improvement. So when he got the 360, I think it was a big shock to him. So he came to me and discussed it. He didn't share with me specific details, but he was very concerned about the perceptions. And so we actually have some additional coaching that I will be working with him on.
That's a very positive sign, though, that while he was shocked by it, and it sounds like sometimes these things can be a little tough, because often we're not aware of the effect we're having on other people.
It's tough to focus on business versus personal. I mean, these things, it becomes very personal.
So how do you then help to coach somebody in that position?
Well, I actually put him in touch. We have some folks from your office coming in this week to work with him in some of his direct reports. So we have additional coaching for him.
So sometimes it's actually probably a lot better to have somebody objectively come in and coach.
Exactly.
Let me ask you if you'd be comfortable talking about your own 360.
Sure.
Could you share with us what you learned through this process about yourself and what you might be working on as a result?
I am working on coaching and mentoring. It's come out that I don't delegate as well as I should. I'm guilty of do as I say, because I said so, just do this. And so as a result, I'm trying to be better at explaining and giving backdrops and details as to why We are doing certain things as a company where I felt a lot of times that I was kind of sheltering my team from certain things on a need-to-know basis, that they would actually be better hearing the whole story for the most part. So I learned that. I don't know. Mine was actually pretty positive.
And that's important. In other words, the positive and the affirmation certainly. But share with us some of the things you either new things that you heard or confirmations that you said, okay, I'm coming across like I want to.
My communication skills are strong. My working well with others, cooperation are real high, which is, thank goodness, as the head of HR for a company. If I wasn't a good cooperator, I think I'd be in big trouble. And then working within guidelines set, which makes sense because as the keeper of the policies for the organization, if I'm not following them, I don't know who would. That's recognized that I am good at that by my peers and my manager as well as my team. So that was real nice to see.
I appreciate your sharing that with us on a personal note, Cindy, because it is, in other words, when you go through this 360 process, what comes up are things that we're good at. And for me personally, I'd like to hear 3 things that I'm good at and then the one thing I need to work on. And that will give me a perspective. In other words, if I hear 3 things that I'm good at and about 12 that I need to work on, that might be a little tough for me. Just in terms of the balance, I mean, if a group is going through this together and can be open and honest and share, and oftentimes, because we're rushing, like you said, growing at the level that Belimo's been growing through the past 20 years. But oftentimes you can be rushing a little fast to get to where you need to be and miss out on some of these key factors.
Exactly. Often the infrastructure doesn't grow as quickly as the company, and then the company begins to get in trouble and have growing pains. So by continuing to focus on making our team better is going to make us stronger as a company.
So as a company, you're saying that your culture is making a commitment in a certain way. Can you share with me what that commitment is?
Yes. Belimo has a strong commitment to excellence, and we have top-of-the-line customer service. And we want it to not be just external customer service. We want it internal as well, and that's another part of the focus in doing the 360s.
Great, Cindy. Can you share with us the benefits that you feel Belimo is receiving by going through this process?
We're benefiting by having our managers have the tools in place to be successful in their roles, and that will certainly help our organization and also help the next group of managers to be successful as well.
And as I'm hearing you say that, Cindy, oftentimes when an organization is moving as quickly as Belimo has been, people can be very, very good at their own disciplines if they're heading up marketing or operations or manufacturing. But what it sounds like is that this is also bringing your leadership team together as a true team.
Exactly. Often employees that we've identified as high potential, high performers are very good in their field. The development that we need to bring them up to the management team level would often be people management, and that's a lot of what the Caliper 360 identifies as where the gaps would be and where their strengths are, so that we can help develop our next group of managers.
Terrific, Cindy. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
It's great talking to you, Cindy Garrity, the HR manager at Belimo Air Controls, sharing some insights in the process and some of what her company has learned and how they, in fact, are bringing together their leadership team by using the 360 as an approach to help develop the leaders individually and as a team. Thank you again, Cindy.
My pleasure.
We're looking forward to talking now with Deborah Goldfarb-Hedigian, the Vice President of Human Resources, and Karen Mitchell, the HR Manager at Behringer Harvard. Behringer Harvard is a commercial real estate company that creates and manages strategic real estate fund opportunities across a wide spectrum of investment styles. Deborah, Caliper's been helping you assess applicants since 2002, but you've just begun this approach towards using the 360 this year.
That's correct.
And tell us, what drew you to this 360 approach?
Well, we have been strong believers in the use of Caliper for our upper-level management positions since I arrived at Behringer Harvard and gone through a lot of growth and are doing a lot of restructuring in some of our departments. And with the growth that we've had, We have found that many of our managers who excel as people in their capacity and what they're doing have become managers of people without necessarily having prior experience of working with people. So what we did was we decided to use the Caliper 360 with one of our departments as a pilot program so that we can assess the strengths of our leadership as well as the strengths of the department as a whole. And since we're true believers in Caliper, there was very little question that the 360 program through Caliper would be the process to choose.
So the 360 approach was to help to improve their management ability. Is that right?
That's correct. As we grow and, one person who's worn 12 hats is now wearing one and delegating to other very competent people, you grow with the demands from a growing company. We've gone from around 15 people 4.5 years ago to almost 400 right now. And we started this pilot program with our marketing department as it grows and defines itself with the growth of our funds and really trying to make sure that everybody is able to use the abilities that they bring to Behringer Harvard and to advance their professionalism as we grow. And it's quite a challenge to be able to grow as a company while also trying to establish the infrastructure of our department.
Now, Deborah, when you're looking to a program like this, and I understand that you're experimenting and trying it in one department, the marketing department first, but it sounds like a holistic approach you have towards looking at management in an entirely different way.
We really want to celebrate the person here and the skills that they bring to the table. And we feel that we owe it to our managers to provide them management skills and leadership training. We certainly hope that people are happy with what they're doing here, but we're always in favor of people being promoted and trying other things within their department and even interdepartmental. So, the approach here is that our employees bring something to the table when they come here. We owe it to them to be able to enhance their skills as we use their knowledge and their loyalty so that we're both growing together. And if we fail to provide that leadership or management, then they're not going to be happy employees. Caliper really is a piece of that, a large piece of that. We've received great feedback from the group that we have done this process with on all levels. And it's really helping people individually to achieve goals and to really figure out